Vice President Kamala Harris has chose her running mate in the upcoming presidential election, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a rising star in the Democratic Party, a favorite of union leaders and progressives. And we have expert insight this morning into Harris's choice for VP. Joining us in studio from Seattle University's Department of Political Science is Professor Patrick Schoettmer. Once again, always good to have you here.
Happy to be here, Bill.
Okay, so let's talk about Tim Walz. A lot of support among Democrats. He's very popular in his home state of Minnesota. What does he bring to the table?
I think Walz really represents sort of a consensus pick. He was the one that didn't offend any of the important constituencies of the Democratic Party. And I think I've heard some people describing him as sort of like a younger version of Biden, basically. He represents sort of the center of where the Democratic Party is at today.
Okay, so the field was narrowed to 3 VP candidates from swing states, and from the perspective of stealing a swing state, what makes Tim Walz more attractive than Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, for example?
Well, I think Shapiro had a couple issues that offended some parts of the base, in particular his support for fracking and his support for school vouchers, raised concerns among environmentalists, and also raised concerns among the teachers. And we should note that Walz himself was a public school teacher, and so it could have been that the potential turmoil there was something that kind of put her off on Shapiro.
Interesting, because when the announcement was made that they were going to begin this 7-state swing tour, as soon as the VP candidate was announced, they were going to start it in Philadelphia, and I thought, well, Philadelphia, huh? Right. Josh Shapiro, they didn't go that way. Minnesota now becomes pretty clearly blue in November, don't you think? I mean, what does from a swing state perspective, what does Walz bring to the table?
Minnesota's always been a bluish shade of purple. It's always pretty close, but the Democrats have been able to hold on to it consistently. Pennsylvania is, of course, a pivotal swing state. And a lot of the, I think, speculation, and if you look at online at the betting, for example, a lot of the bettors were betting on Shapiro, because we do know that a home state vice president is worth somewhere between 1/2 to 2 points, and in a really close election, it's possible that Shapiro could have given them the sort of bump they need there. That said, they do have a fairly hotly contested race in Pennsylvania already for the Senate, and having Shapiro remain in the governor's seat means that he can focus exclusively on Pennsylvania.
Okay, so from a swing state perspective, how much of a push does Tim Walz bring to that ticket now?
I think Walz's main advantage when it comes to regionalism or representation is the fact that he's a Midwesterner. Most Midwesterners don't think of Pennsylvania as part of the Midwest, but they do think of Minnesota as part of the Midwest. So I think we see him being more as a move to firm up Wisconsin, which we've seen in the polls is one of the 3 so-called blue wall states in the Midwest that Harris was struggling with the most. It probably and Michigan as being the other state that they're really thinking about.
Let's talk about those polls. How does it look in swing states with the Harris-Trump matchup now that Harris is the official Democratic nominee and we're moving forward now?
I think that we could probably say that Harris moving in and having settled in has sort of reset the election. We're back to where we were roughly at the beginning of June, where everything's in the margin of error, and the 7 or so states that were the swing states in 2020 are again the states we're looking at as the swing states now. Right before Biden dropped out, we did see states like Minnesota, we did see states like New Hampshire moving into play for the Republicans, Virginia as well. Harris has taken, I think, those off the table, and so we're back to where we started.
Right. So we're seeing a change in strategy from both campaigns over the last week. So from the Republicans' perspective, what is their game plan moving forward?
Over the last 2 years, Walz has been able to push through a number of progressive priorities in the state, like universal child lunches. They've been moving forward on sick leave mandates at the state level and so forth. And so I think Republicans are going to try to pitch this as a play to the progressives, and they're going to argue that this moves the Democratic Party overall to the left, particularly to the left of where Biden was.
Yeah, and we're also seeing J.D. Vance basically shadowing Walz and Harris everywhere they go on the swing state tour. What is the Democrats' pitch to voters now that the ticket is secure?
I think Walz, first off, Walz is sort of representing an effective communicator. He's the one that coined the attack on the Republicans of them just plain being weird. That seemed to have resonated with a lot of people. But beyond that, I think Walz sort of represents this sort of middle-class values. He's the first non-lawyer Democrats have nominated since Jimmy Carter. He's a high school teacher. He's a football coach. And if there's anything Midwesterners revere in the fall, it's high school and college football.
Oh, you better believe it. Professor Patrick Schoettmer, thanks so much for your perspective. We appreciate it.
Happy to help.